Hey everybody, it's Justin. We are continuing the off-season preparation on the car. I got a few more parts on the bench back here for my MCS suspension. I'll show you in a second. But today what we're doing is actually unmodifying the car. We're going to be taking out the Sparco EVO seats for the winter time and putting the stock seats back in the car. The stock seats, of course, are heated, and with the temperatures cooling down here for the winter time, I want to have those seats installed to make things a little bit more comfortable while we are not racing the car. So first I've got to go downstairs and pull the stock seats off of my racing simulator rig, which you guys might have seen a few days ago with the other video about that race simulator. Bring those seats up here, we'll pull the seats out of the BRZ and then get the stock ones installed. So before we go downstairs and get the stock seats, I'll show you some of the parts that we picked up for the MCS suspension. I picked up new sway bar end links, both for the front and the rear of the car. These are from Racer X, so kind of a nice custom made front end link for the sway bar. We also picked up a set of rear adjustable sway bar end links, also from Racer X Fabrication. And then for my racing camber plates, I had to get a new spring perch bushing, which you can see here. The new bushing is to fit the larger shock shafts on the MCS suspension. The Race Comp Tarmac 2s have a little bit different shock shaft on the front, so that's why we need the different spring perch bushing. Alright, heading downstairs where the stock seats are stored for the winter time. I've got one of them sitting down right here with the plastic cover, and as you guys saw the other week, we've got the other one on the sim rig here, which we'll have to unbolt from the base, and then we'll be able to get these things up into the garage. Seat's off. Alright, so the seat came off. That wasn't very graceful. I thought I had one more bolt attached to the back of the seat, but I only attached the two front bolts, so the thing just fell off. No big deal. We'll get the seat up off the ground and then get these things up in the garage. We can start taking out the Sparco seats that are in the car now. Alright, we have the stock seats in the garage. I have to say I am super excited to get these things back in the car after driving with the Sparco seats, daily driving and racing. They do get kind of old, I'm not gonna lie. Actually, it's only during the daily driving part. When racing, I totally love the Sparco seats. They're a lot better than the stock seats, although the stock seats are very good. But looking forward to getting these things back in the car. First thing we're gonna do is disconnect the battery terminal here in the engine bay. Because we are, of course, working with airbag connections, we wanna make sure nothing silly happens there. So we're gonna disconnect that battery before we get started. Alright, starting off with the passenger seat, because this one is actually a little bit easier than the driver's side because I don't have like the race harness and things attached to it. So this one comes out a little bit quicker and easier. So just like before when we did the seats, it's just 4 bolts, 2 in the rear, 2 in the front. Once we have the 2 bolts in the rear, we're just gonna slide the seat backwards, and then we can get the front bolts taken care of. And we have one clip to remove, which is the seatbelt clip. Once that's done, we can take it out. We also can't forget to move the seatbelt buckle from one seat to the other. Pretty simple part of the process. We'll save the old bolts and put it back into the Sparco seats, because the stock seats have their own So one thing I have to remember or figure out is where all of these different wires go that were connected to the seat. They were all clipped into the underside of the stock seats, and I'm kind of thinking what I'm going to do is just connect the connectors, not necessarily connect all of the plastic little clips and things like these guys here. Just so when I go to swap in the race seats back at the beginning of the race season, I won't have to deal with unclipping all of those retaining clips that hold the cables routed in their particular place underneath the seat. So we'll throw in the stock seat here, connect everything up, and hopefully it won't be too big of a deal. With the seat now in the car and tipped up on its side, I could start connecting the airbag connector, the heated seat connector, and the seat belt connector, and then routing the wire looms and the wires underneath the seat, not using any of those retaining clips, so that way it was easier to get out the next time around. Alright, stock seat number 1 is installed. I'm not going to show you guys any video of it. The lighting is terrible with the sun starting to come in the garage. And anyways, it's just a stock seat, and we're going to get ready to pop out the driver's side. I'm still kind of debating if I want to keep my 3-point harness installed in the car for the winter time. I might just take it out and leave it attached to the race seat, but we'll get the seat out and then I'll decide once I get to that point. So as I start on the front seat, getting the car prepped for winter, quote unquote, bringing my heated seats back into the car and the comfortable seats back into the car. It's like 75 degrees out and sunny and hot, and I'm starting to sweat in the garage working on this thing, so kind of weird switching into winter mode when it's not even winter yet, but it will be soon enough. So fortunately, with this 3-point harness, it has a little clip in the back here, which you guys can't see. Again, the lighting is really crappy today with the way the sun's coming in here, but I can detach it from the pillar in the rear of the car, and which kind of allows me to remove the harness quickly and easily. We got the seatbelt buckle parts coming apart here. Now I'm thinking we're going to have some winter series events, and I can use the harness with the stock seats just fine, but I think I'm actually going to leave it out, and if I do have some races I can just deal without it. It's not a huge deal, and it just kind of makes everything easier going back together when I put the stuff back into the car. So we'll put this seatbelt buckle attachment back in without the harness attachment. And now I can just go ahead and remove the normal 4 bolts, 2 in the rear and 2 in the front, and take the seat out since the harness is detached. The other side of the harness is bolted to the seat where the seat buckle mounts on the inside. So once it's unbolted from the body, we can take it right out. Alright, seatbelt sensor clip, where is it? Alright, that's out. Alright, we're ready with the driver's seat. I already swapped over the seatbelt buckle onto the seat, and if I remember right, there's less wiring for this guy, being that it doesn't have a sensor, a weight sensor for the airbag like the passenger side does. So get this thing in there. This one should be quicker. clips and the connectors are much easier on this side. Better routed overall too. Alright, the stock seats are back in the car. I've closed the garage because it's freaking hot out here. I'm not even going to need my heated seats probably for a while. But we got the Sparco seats on the floor here. We're going to get these bolted back onto the race simulator rig a little bit later here. We'll check out the stock seats. You guys all know what these things look like. Nothing special. I don't even remember what it's like to sit in these things, so we're gonna get in here, and man, I actually really miss these seats. They are super comfortable. They're super awesome seats. And really the only benefits that the Sparco give you, when you have the Sparcos in the car, the side bolsters are so much steeper, pretty much straight up and down when you're sitting in the seats, and obviously you sit lower and they're a little bit lighter. These stock seats still are pretty light at about 42, 43 pounds a piece, but the biggest benefit with those Sparcos is keeping you in place during all of the transitions and the slaloms and things that you do, specifically in autocross. The stock seats, as good as they are, the bolsters aren't quite big enough down on your legs and in your hip area to keep you from coming out of it and having to use your legs as supports against the center console and also the door. So that's the biggest benefit of having the Sparcos, and they're pretty comfortable, but not as nice as the stock seats from a comfort point of view. So one of the last things I need to check out here with the car after I reconnect my battery is make sure that all of the airbag warning lights that were on in the dash have gone back off, and the airbag indicators say that everything is working properly. So I'm going to reattach the battery and then get back in the car and check it out here. So the battery is reattached once again. Let's jump back in the car. We'll turn the ignition on and see. Alright, ignition is on. Shut the door here. Awesome, I don't have any warning lights on my dash, and I actually have my gauges on the new digital dash. Let me show you. My digital dash down there in the corner, which is cycling through the displays, is working again. That was not working when I had all of the airbags unplugged. It was a constant warning screen telling me that my airbags were broken and not working. So now I have no messages, which is a good thing. So that is all good news. Previously, if I wanted to see my little mini display in the right corner there, I had to hit the back button on my steering wheel, and then it would show up momentarily. I could look at all of the gauges and the values and whatnot, but then it would go back to the airbag warning like 5 or 10 seconds later. The other benefit of having my stock seats back in, which isn't a huge deal, but when the race seats are in the car beeps at you, yells at you for like 30 seconds because the airbags are disconnected. So now we have the safety of the seat airbags back in the car, and of course the connectors that also work in conjunction with the rest of the airbags in the steering wheel and in the passenger dash. Alright everybody, we're going to wrap this one up. Stock seats back in the car, unmodifying my BRZ just for the wintertime though. We'll get the Sparco race seats here back installed once we get back going into the race season for the 2018 race year. So what's coming up next for the BRZ? Of course, we're waiting on more parts for my MCS suspension up there on the bench. I showed you the things we've picked up so far. I'm still waiting on a few sets of springs for the suspension. I'm waiting on new rear shock mounts, and I think then we should be able to get that suspension installed. Get the old Tarmac 2s off of there and the MCS in there, and hopefully start doing some testing during some of our winter autocross events here. I'm going to take these Sparco seats back downstairs, hook them up to my race simulator rig so I can do some racing downstairs. Stay fast out there, everybody. I'm checking out. We'll talk to you all next time.